Hello and welcome to Not Fake News. Okay, we have two articles. One, brutal video. What John McCain just admitted on TV will end his sorry career. And kill shot. What Rand Paul just said will put the final nail in John McCain's career. Ready? All right. So, look at that face. Not a happy camper. Last week, John McCain attacked Trump in front of a European audience in Germany. This Sunday, Senator McCain compared Trump to a dictator. On Monday, we should seriously fire this guy. Am I right? On Meet the Press, John McCain said the following about Trump. That's how dictators get started. They get started by suppressing a free press. In other words, a consolidation of power. When you look at the history of the first thing dictators do is shut down the press. And I'm not saying President Trump is trying to be a dictator. I'm just saying that we need to learn the lessons of history. Watch the video. Look at this guy smiling, biggest jerk you ever met.
I'm curious of your reaction to a tweet that the president sent Friday night. The fake news media, failing New York Times, NBC News, ABC, CBS, CNN, is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people. You believe the press is the enemy? You believe any group of Americans are the enemy of another group of Americans?
I was talking about the period, as you know, of the New World Order. A fundamental part of that New World Order was a free press. I hate the press. I hate you especially. But the fact is, we need...
Listen, yeah, look at his face after he just said, I hate you especially. This is, we have free speech. We had free speech, and you're trying to stop it. You're saying you're trying to defend it, but you're not.
Need you. We need a free press. We must have it. It's vital. If you want to preserve, I'm very serious now, if you want to preserve democracy as we...
If you want to preserve fake news the way it is now...
You know what? You have to have a free and many times adversarial press. And without it, I'm afraid that we would lose so much of our individual liberties over time. That's how dictators get started.
That's it.
This damn monster doesn't care about anyone, people. Do not buy his crap. He's a liar.
That's how dictators get started, with tweets like that?
Yeah.
If they get started by suppressing a free press. In other words...
And I gotta tell you, this guy, the other guy, who I called a jerk because he was smiling, he's normally a jerk, but I don't know what got into him. He must have drank some truth serum this morning, because he's not letting this freaking corpse just say whatever he wants.
A consolidation of power, when you look at history, the first thing that dictators do is shut down the press. And I'm not saying that President Trump is trying to be a dictator. I'm just saying we need to learn the lessons of history.
Why are you bringing it up?
Senator McCain, I'm going to leave it
Why
there.
are you bringing it up?
You are a student.
Crap. Okay, so... John McCain believes that Trump's responding to the liberal media publishing fake news stories is a bad thing. Let me make this clear. If Trump is such a fascist dictator, then why does everyone slander his name in the media all the time without fear of reprisal? Wow, good question. I'll give you a hint. It's because he's not a dictator. If so, if you think John McCain should be fired and he's a dictator, share this post all over Facebook. It's time we make our voice heard. We don't want you in office anymore, McCain. You're a rhinoceros, whatever that means, a rhino. Okay, next story. Kill shot. What Rand Paul just said will put the final nail in John McCain's career, by Paris Wade from Liberty Writers. John McCain attacked Trump this morning and compared his actions to that of a dictator. We know. We just heard that, right? So it was a disgusting, underhanded comment. You can watch it here, but we won't because we just watched it. Rand Paul says that we are lucky, very lucky, that Donald Trump is in charge. Rand Paul said that we should be glad that McCain is not our president. Ha ha. Watch the amazing interview below.
It's not something that I would say. I would say that there is bias, and I think it's fair to point out that there is bias in the media on both sides, both right and left, and that it's very hard to find objective news because we've gotten, particularly as you watch cable news, it's so dominated by opinion. And we are more polarized, and some of that comes from the people and some of that comes from the media. But I would say that I don't see in his criticism somehow, people think that the separation of powers means that the president can't criticize the judiciary. No, it has nothing to do with that. That's more of sort of political sensibilities, but has nothing to do with the Constitution or separation of powers. We don't like it. We may say it sort of treads on things, but the separation of powers is about legislative powers. It isn't about discussion or words. So I would separate, once again, words from actual, real legislative action. If someone tries to put limits on the press, I'll be the first one standing up for the right of press, left and right, to continue saying and being part of the discussion and forwarding the discussion.
What would you make of McCain's statement that we're creeping towards a situation where people are potentially supportive of dictatorship in this country? Is that over the top, or is there a concern?
I think Senator McCain's perspective is colored by his disagreements with President Trump on foreign policy. If I were to look at foreign policy, I would say John McCain's been wrong on just about everything over the last 4 decades. He advocated for the Iraq War, which I think destabilized the Middle East. If you look at the map, there's probably at least 6 different countries where John McCain has advocated for having U.S. boots on the ground. John McCain's complaint is we're either not at war somewhere, or if we're at war, we leave too soon. So we're not there soon enough, and he wants us to stay forever wherever we send troops.
Sounds a little bit like a dictator.
So that's a foreign policy that is at odds with President Trump, and also the idea of engagement, the idea of foreign policy realism, I think fits more neatly with President Trump, and with John McCain, the neoconservative label of let's make the world safe for democracy and we're going to topple every regime hasn't worked. I mean, our intervention to destabilize the Assad regime has really made the chaos worse in Syria. And if you were to get rid of Assad today, I would actually worry about the 2 million Christians that are protected by Assad. So I think it's more a foreign policy debate, and Trump and McCain are on opposite sides of that debate. And I tend to sympathize more with the president that we need a change. We don't need to continue to have a regime change throughout the world, nation building. It's expensive, and we don't have enough money to rebuild our own country if we're rebuilding everyone else's countries.
But just to clarify, what McCain said specifically is dictators get started by limiting freedom of the press. I imagine you agree with that.
Well, the thing is I don't agree with his analysis and applying that to the president. I haven't seen any legislation coming forward that wants to limit the press. I see President Trump expressing his opinion rather forceful in his own, his own distinct way. But I see no evidence that anybody's putting forward any kind of legislation to limit the press.
Okay.
So I think people, this is colored by John McCain's disagreement with President Trump. It all is. Everything that he says about the president is colored by his own personal dispute he's got running with President Trump. And it should be taken with a grain of salt, because John McCain's the guy that's advocated for war everywhere. He would bankrupt the nation. And actually, we're very lucky John McCain's not in charge, because I think we'd be in perpetual war.
Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit? Sit down. Sit down.
Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news now.
Doesn't that
Very fake.
Sucker. You're very fake news now. Everything this guy says about the president is colored by his own personal dispute he's got running with the President Trump, and it should be taken with a grain of salt, because John McCain is the guy who advocates for war everywhere, says Paul on ABC's This Week. Share this, everybody. If you think John McCain is a snake in the grass and is working to stab Trump in the back every chance he gets, get this video out there. Let's drain the swamp. Let's start the biggest swamp creature drain of them all and start with John McCain, the biggest swamp creature. What do you think? Comment below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed. And if you like what we're doing here at Not Fake News, like the video. Like it. It's important that you do that. We really appreciate it. When you like our videos, you push us up on YouTube and you push down the Democrats' crappy propaganda videos. So like the video. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time at your real news source, Not Fake News.